Hello everyone, it's me, MickRPG, and today we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to be doing a Fallout 4 faction tier list. Fallout 4 is my most played Fallout, so I figured it'd probably be best if I tried to do something more like this. One day, maybe I'll even do another Fallout faction tier list if anyone even wants to see that. But without getting into it, we've got 7 tiers. You've got mid, then you've got okay, you've got good, Giga Chad. Then below that you've got just shit, can't get worse, and Railroad. They get their own separate bit because they're just so shit as a faction. So let's start first. We've got the Institute of Technology. MIT, so Massachusetts Institute of Technology. I'd say they're a pretty good faction, but poorly written. There's not much to do with them, I feel, at least. You can join them as a faction. I don't really know how I'm going to go off this, so we'll just start with aesthetic-wise. Aesthetic-wise, they are kind of cool, but very, I don't know, sterile. I mean, I suppose that makes sense. It's like the only sterile place in Boston at that point, but the base itself is good, but the factions' looks, I don't like them. So I'm gonna. I think they're okay as a faction. I'm gonna say okay for now, because the story, the writing for them is terrible. Overall, they're a shit faction with not great characters, but the aesthetics kind of, so maybe not okay, maybe they're more mid. So they're not shit, but they're not really okay or good either. You got the Hobologists, which, from the Nuka World DLC, there's not much to them. They're kind of mental, and that's about it. So I can't really rate them, other than that they're just kind of rude and talk down to you. So I'll put just shit, only because other than their spacesuits, which you steal for them, and their lore and their general purpose, they're not really a decent faction. So I'm gonna say just shit. One of the raider gangs, the Operators, they are my favourite raider faction. It makes total sense. You have a bunch of raiders, and they're basically harsh mercenaries. They're the gunners on steroids, because the gunners are like militant mercenaries, obviously, and they're pretty cool aesthetically wise. I quite like them, but the Operators take that to a new level. They take what they want, and they get it, basically. It doesn't matter if you tell them, no, please, you can't have all my caps. It doesn't matter, they'll shoot you. And they're the only faction that makes sense out of the Raider factions, right? What do Raiders actually want? Power and territory. The Operators take that. The Pack have power and territory, but they have their own infighting, because their goals are different, and they're all fucking furries anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And then the Disciples are really good. I like them, I like their aesthetic. But all they want is blood, so at the end of the day, they're not gaining anything. They won't even enslave people, they'll just kill them. But the Operators will take people hostage, will take people prisoner, will take people as slaves, and will ultimately have a... They're the only ones I could see actually building a bigger empire than just themselves. The Enclave, I'm gonna get a lot of shit here. They're not really a faction in Fallout 4, if you ask me. They weren't really put in. I think they're poorly written, and they shouldn't have put the Enclave in the game at all, because if we remember in Fallout 2, they got blown the fuck up. So I'm just gonna put can't get worse, because they really can't. They're in there as a fucking nostalgia cult. The Pack also can't get worse. They're a bunch of furries. Their leader's a dick. They've got no memorable characters at all, except for the leader, so I felt like they didn't really write him all that well. Aesthetically, it could have been cool if they weren't dressed up as fucking toy souvenirs, but makes sense, I guess. So these furries can get raided to fuck off. Now we talk about Acadia from the Far Harbor DLC. They're not bad, but I just don't care about them. It tries to make me care, it tries to give me this sort of moral dilemma. I just don't. It's like, it wants you to put yourself in the mind of a synth. And, I mean, to be honest, it's not really that hard. You're a robot who's got a human body, but you know that you're a robot. I don't know, maybe I'm just not that empathetic, but I can't really, I honestly just can't care about them. They're not bad at all. Aesthetically, they're kind of just like settlers, but they're all robots. They do have a couple memorable characters. Don't ask me their names though. I mean, you've got Dima, of course, and then you've got that courser who escaped from the Institute, and then you've got the wee girl that you went there to get, Kasumi. You've got her, but she's not really part of Acadia. I mean, she is, but regardless, I don't think they're bad. I don't think they're good either. Actually, yeah, I'll put them in mid, because they would be okay if Dima didn't send you on that fucking mission. I hate them. That mission, you know, where it's just the settlement building but worse. Yeah, I hate it a lot. So next we've got the Pillars of the Community. They're a small faction, and they just rob people. They're not even raiders, they're just scammers basically, so I'm gonna put just shit. They're not the worst faction, but like, come on, really. The Children of Atom, they're interesting. I hate religious zealotry, however, you know, one of my favourite chapters in Warhammer is the Black Templars, and I actually really liked doing a Children of Atom playthrough. It was quite fun, to be honest. I think that the lore is interesting, the ideology is interesting. The aesthetics are, well, they don't really have an aesthetic except for chemotherapy. Other than that, I'd actually say they're an okay faction. You know, I quite like them. They are completely aggressive to you, except for that one you find in the Glowing Sea and in Far Harbor. They're the only ones that aren't completely aggressive to you on site. So for that, they're just okay. Aesthetic, I like that hammer that you get from Far Harbor, and I like the marine combat armor you can get from Far Harbor as well. Other than that, I think they're actually really okay. They're a faction that I can stand, and I like them being in the game. Alright, next we've got the Atom Cats. Best faction in the game, hands down. Hands down, the best faction in the game. Best faction in the game. They look amazing, greasers with power armor. I love power armor. I like the 50s, 60s vibe. I like the funny way they talk. Their mechanics and technicians and whatnot. Fucking, they're jacked as well, because if you go to the front of their junkyard, they've got a weights bit where someone was doing weights. Amazing, absolute Giga Chad. If you are an Atom Cats fan, then absolute Giga Chad. You probably look like this, because only a Giga Chad would love the Atom Cats so much. In fact, on my Fallout jacket, because yes, I've got a Fallout jacket, the Atom Cats patch is on the back, because they are absolutely the best faction in every single Fallout game, hands down. I cannot be lied to. The aesthetics is peak. The lore is simple, mainly for the fact that you look at them and know what it is. The power armor is amazing. One of my favourite skins in the entire game is the Atom Cats power armor skin. I just love it so much. It's a shame that there's not a companion from them. It's an absolute shame. It's a shame that they weren't expanded more on. I would love to see that. Next faction. Ironside's ship, the USS Constitution. I actually really like them. I think they're a really good faction. They've got an entire jet-powered sail ship which they're trying to get into the water to go fight the Chinese, but got stuck into a savings and loan bank. And then when you help them again, they get stuck into a skyscraper instead of landing in the sea. And they're still so optimistic about it. And they talk like pirates. Ironsides talks like a captain, though. I think, aesthetic-wise, very pleasing. I love sailing. Lore-wise, it's really funny. And the quest itself, okay, it's mainly like 3 fetch quests, unless you've got like intelligence 5+ or something like that. That's really annoying, but other than that, it's a pretty decent quest. I think they're a good faction. I think they're good. Super mutants. I'm not entirely sure on my lore here, but if I'm correct, super mutants shouldn't be in Boston, considering the fact that the FEV stuff was done on the West Coast, and wasn't that all stopped in the first game? So maybe it's just me, but it would make sense that super mutants wouldn't be in Fallout 4 or 3 for that matter. So it doesn't make any sense. Or even New Vegas, because New Vegas takes place way after Fallout 1 and 2. So it doesn't make sense to me. They're not a bad faction. I quite like the brutishness of them. I quite like the subtle orkiness of them as well. So they're mid. I don't think they should be there. Aesthetic-wise, very pleasing, very apocalyptic, quite orky. But lore-wise, it just makes no fucking sense. I don't see the sense in it. So they're mid. They're not shit. They're just mid. So I quite like the gunners. I like the aesthetics of them, the military sort of styling of them. They use old military stuff. I like that they actually have ways of operation. They've got ranks. They've got captains, sergeants, lieutenants, commanders. At least I think they have lieutenant. They've got I don't know. They make sense as a mercenary group, and I think they fit the mercenary aesthetic well. I quite like them. I put them in the okay category, because you can't join them and they're aggressive to you all the time, but they're amazing. I do, well, no, amazing is a strong word. I think they're a good faction, so they're in the okay category for a good faction. Yeah, no. Covenant, maybe it's just me because I've played the game so many times, but it's boring as fuck. Okay, but yeah, you get the secret thing uncovered. They have this thing to test for synths. It's just the test that you get from Fallout 3. I can't remember the name of the test. He just makes you do that to test that you're not a synth, and then you get in no matter what you say anyway. And then when you uncover the thing, they're all aggressive, or if you help hide it, I think they like you. I don't know. I just killed them all on the spot the past few years because the quest is just boring. So mid, because they're not bad. They have a nice looking settlement. They're just, I don't know, just kind of mid. The disciples, I like the disciples. The aesthetic is very radar, very pleasing. The characters are quite funny and aggressive, even when you do good things for them. So that's a slight minus, but not by much. Their goals, they just want to kill, and I can respect that, honestly. They can be quite helpful to you if you are the overboss. So for those purposes alone, I put them in the okay category. I just like Raider factions. I think they're cool. Oh, I've just realised that this is the operators and this is Raiders. I'll put regular Raider gangs in yeah, below the. Oh yeah, let me show that. I forgot that this is how tier lists work. Yeah, so obviously they work down. They work down the way. So gunners are the best in the okay part. Should have put them in good, because I did say that they were good. I changed my opinion. They're good. They're good. They're above the USS Constant. They're above Ironside's sailors. And the Raiders and the Disciples above the Children of Am. So that's their. Yeah, I actually do like Super Mutants more than I like the Covenant. Can't get worse. suppose the Enclave being the worst in that category makes sense to me at least. Okay, yeah, so that's general Raiders. I still like the Raiders, the aesthetic's cool. Yeah, I think Raiders are cool. I always liked bad guys in games. The Brotherhood of Steel. Now, this is an opinion. I think they're cool, aesthetically pleasing. The lore kind of makes sense as to why they're there. But their ideals, as the Brotherhood of Steel as a whole, not just the Commonwealth chapter, or Elder Maxon's chapter, it doesn't make sense. We're going to hoard all of this technology so that others don't use it for nefarious purposes. Well, yeah, we acquired Liberty Prime, that piece of technology that shouldn't be used to go nuke people, and we're going to use it. See, they're kind of hypocritical, and it's ironic that they don't see it. Other than that, I like the aesthetic, the power armor, the military aesthetic, because they were born from the US Army, basically. Their goal is noble, and it makes sense. It just doesn't make sense the way that they do it. They keep these things and don't keep it in like a guarded vault to stop people or anything like that. They keep it and they use it, which doesn't make sense. Okay, well, no, it doesn't make sense as in the way of their lore, but it makes sense in the way of like tactics and combat. Fuck, if I had Liberty Prime, I'd use them. Fuck right, I'd use them. But with the Brotherhood of Steel's ideology, they shouldn't use them. So, I don't know. It's just strange to me. But I think they're a good faction, and they're above the Gunners to me. So I like the Brotherhood of Steel. I will still happily join the Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout 4. They are a good faction. I do enjoy them. Far Harbor, look, I didn't like the Far Harbor DLC. Controversial opinion, I know. I didn't like the Far Harbor DLC. Not that much. It's weird, I'm the opposite. People didn't like Nuka World, but loved Far Harbor. I didn't like Far Harbor, but loved Nuka World. I don't get it. Maybe it's because I'm from Scotland, and if I wanted to walk around in a foggy, damp, wet shithole with miserable people everywhere, I would just fucking go outside. But maybe that's just me. Far Harbor, it adds a few cool guns, you get some cool factions, and then the map itself isn't even bad. It's just boring to me. But the people of Far Harbor are miserable, annoying, boring. The only one there I like is the Mariner because she's helpful, and she's not the most miserable cunt in that place. So they'll go with mid above Covenant. Come on, yeah, mid above Covenant. Good neighbor. Place is full of junkies. Other than that, you get Hancock, who's pretty funny. You get Daisy, the vendor. She's nice enough to you. Cleo, the weapons vendor, the robot, nice enough to you. Everyone in there's quite nice to you. So I can't even say it's bad. And I like the way that it's set up. I like the town. And lore-wise, it's still pretty cool as well. So other than the fact that they're all basically junkies, I'd say it's good. I'd say above the Constitution, below the Gunners. I quite like the Gunners. The Children of Atom of Far Harbor, I'd say it's about the same. There's a little more lore to them than the regular ones, so they get a step above that, and I like the Marine combat armor. And I like the little quest you can do for them. I like the zealous sort of fervor that they have. I very much enjoy them. I like them. I would say that they're an okay faction. I wouldn't rate them above the Raiders or the Disciple Raiders, but I wouldn't put them below their own people back in the Commonwealth. Next one, the Minutemen, one of my all-time Fallout favourite factions. I have to rate them absolute gigachad, right? The aesthetic is cool. It runs back to like militia men from like 400 years ago at that point. Actually, no, wait, 1776, and then yeah, something like that, like 400 years ago back at that point. It just makes sense. It makes sense that all these settlements would gang up together so nobody can gang up on them. And they would all, come together. And a minute's notice, they see that flare, they grab their rifle and they go. It makes sense. It's the most they're one of the nicest factions, and I like their hope, and I like the way that they function generally as a faction. They have good lore, because before you got there, there was a bunch of infighting and stuff, and they basically turned into warlords. And I find that is interesting, and it really shows human nature, but it also shows human nature that the Minutemen come back, obviously with the players' help. If you don't help them, they're still nothing. They're one of the only factions that you have to build up from the ground. Because they are quite literally like one Minuteman and what is it? You got Mama Murphy, Sturgis, his wife, can't remember, or Marcy. You got Preston, Sturgis, Marcy, Jordan Long, I can't count. Okay, I can't count. Either way, it's like him and 5 others. He's the only Minuteman left, so you genuinely have to build it up from the start. He's one of your lieutenants or captains or whatever. And I also really like the settlement building. I've got like 2,148 hours in Fallout across my Steam and my Xbox. A lot of that, and I mean a lot of that, was spent building. I mean, on my Steam right now, I'm building myself a fortress because I'm really into the Imperial Fist and Iron Warriors, and I want to build walls that cannot fall. It will be iron within and without. So I think we'll put them up at absolute Giga Chat, not above the Abkhaz, of course. Nobody's above the Abkhaz, but they're still a great faction. Now, operators, basically everything I said before. To me, they are my favourite Raider gang. They are the absolute best. They want money. Got it. They want power. They'll get that when it comes with money as well. They actually have some sort of tangible plan rather than just kill everyone or beat everyone into submission like the Pack do. The Pack, they're the worst Raider gang. I kill them off all the time. I don't like them. I tend to use my operators as my actual, when I want something done, and then the disciples when I'm going to kill people. That's about it. Or if I need to force people into submission, I use the disciples because they just kill people. They're kind of mindless. So the operators to me are above the gunners. They are a good faction. They are my favourite Raider faction. Oh fuck, here we go. The next one. The Railroad. The Railroad can fuck off, if I'm honest. Aesthetically, they don't really have one. They're just a bunch of bums in a fucking church basement. Their goals are stupid. They want to liberate all the synths. I'm pretty sure there's more fucking pressing problems than liberating synths. Fucking go liberate a toaster, you cunt. And then they're one of the only factions that after the game have no purpose. What then? What after you blow up the Institute and all the synths are saved? Hip hip hooray, the vending machines are safe. What then? Like, what the fuck do you even do then? Like, just disband at that point, because there's fuck all you can do. You're useless at that point. Like, genuinely, they are these shit. They're the only faction in those 2,148 hours I've never played. I've never completed a playthrough with them because they're fucking boring. They're not even aesthetically pleasing at all. They don't even like. With the Brotherhood of Steel, people don't like them, but the armor's cool. You don't even get that with the Railroad. They're just boring as shit. So they get their own fucking tier. They're dead. They're dog shit. Worse than the Enclave in the game. They're dog shit. I fucking. Just their existence pisses me off, honestly. And even worse, right? It's because they're not even integral to the fucking story. You can complete the story without ever having to interact with them. And I know what you might say. Oh, well, you have to go fucking decrypt that Corsa chip. No, you don't. You can do it yourself. If you kill them all, you just go up to Tinker Tom's fucking computer and do it yourself. It's quicker if you just kill them all. And granted, you don't get the ballistic weave, and you don't get that little pistol that looks like the only actual fucking pistol in the game. Granted, you don't get that. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth just wiping them the fuck out. They're dog shit. Tangent over. Next faction is Diamond City. I don't think they're a faction. That's a settlement. I didn't make this list, by the way. But Diamond City as a faction, bureaucracy pisses me off. So that's already like a no. The security forces are competent but useless. They do stuff. I mean, well, to be fair, I say competent, they couldn't even handle a gun being pulled on someone in the middle of the fucking place. Because when you first go in there, as soon as you enter a building, or if you come back, the second time you ever go there, a gun's pulled on someone because they think they're a synth. And security doesn't intervene. I mean, they do intervene if you don't. But, you know, it should have been much, much quicker. So they're competent to an extent. The guards outside the wall show competence, though. They always seem to be on guard. When they get attacked by super mutants, they can actually defend themselves pretty well. They've got automatic turrets, things like that. So I'd say that Diamond City itself is a good faction. There's plenty of vendors, there's quite a few things to do. It's an interesting city in itself, you know, being built inside the Red Sox baseball park. Fenway, it's called. I think it's interesting. As a settlement, it's interesting. As a faction, it's okay. So I'm going to put them at good, above good neighbor. I do think it's a good settlement / faction, if you want to call it that. General Atomics Galleria. I always thought it was and it's short. You know, there's not much to it. There's a little bit of lore, but I really think that the Mr. Handys in there really make up for it. See if you don't get clearance from the Mr. Gutsy in the tower, and you just wander around, and all these robots just go haywire, and it's really funny. So I'm gonna say mid only because you can't rate them that much. They're above Far Harbor. I don't really like Far Harbor. There's more to do in the Galleria than there is in Far Harbor, if you ask me. There's more likable characters in the Galleria than in Far Harbor, if you ask me. Now, the Forged, they are a pretty fun raider gang, and they have ties to now, the Forged, I actually think that they're a pretty interesting raider faction. They have lore, you can read it in the terminal. Their boss is called Slag, which I know it's a metallurgy thing. It's a blacksmith forge metal thing, but it's still really funny. Because coming from Scotland, slag means like prostitute or whore. So a guy in power armor called Slag leading a group of people is really funny to me. They've got semi-interesting lore. I like that they're in a forge factory. I think that's just really cool. So I like the aesthetic. There's only really one quest with them, and other than that, they're aggressive as fuck. I think they're pretty hard to take down. Even if you go on very easy difficulty, I still think they're a challenging fight. So, for that reason, I'm going to say they're pretty okay. They're above regular raiders, not above the disciples. I think they're a pretty okay raider faction. The Triggermen, that's what they're called, the Triggermen. They are interesting. They dress up like 1950s gangsters with Tommy guns and everything. I think basically they have nothing but aesthetic, and I like that about them. I think they're a good faction. They work for criminals, the big time criminals, like I was about to say Wazowski, Murawski, and that guy, the Latimer family in Diamond City. They'll say they can send people after you and stuff. You know, you've got Diamond City Blues, one of the most famous quests. And so I think they're a pretty good faction. They don't have much in the way of lore that I know of. But I think they're a pretty good faction. I'd put them above the Constitution. I like them more as a gang. I think they're really cool. They're aesthetically pleasing, at least. Minimum, they're aesthetically pleasing. The next, the Rust Devils from the Automatron DLC. I like them. I do like them. I'm biased because I like the aesthetic. I like the whole. I like Raiders. I like Raiders. I don't know what it's called. I just like apocalyptic shit. And then I like robots too. Robots are amazing. Killer Raider robots and raiders who use robot parts not only as weapons but as armor too. That's definitely in the good tier. That is in the good tier. I'd say below Gunners, above Diamond City. That's in the good tier. Vault-Tec. I think that they don't. Not that they don't play much of a part in Fallout 4. Well, they don't, but I like some of the vaults you can dive into. I think it's interesting. I think it's cool. I've always thought vaults were cool, even in New Vegas and 3 and stuff. I like vault diving, dungeon diving in vaults. I think it's cool. Vault-Tec as a company is really shady but interesting. I like the vault suit, although I don't actually use it much. Vault-Tec themselves aren't cool, but the aesthetic is, and the experimentation is kind of, it's kind of up there. I quite like it. I think it's interesting. They're just an interesting faction overall. So I will put them at okay above the Children of Atom. Vault 81. If I'm correct, they're the ones just outside of Oberlin Station, if I'm correct. They're right next to that, basically. I think it's interesting. You've got at least one questline you can do in there. I think the NPCs are interesting. It's interesting to walk around and see it, because it's like a live vault. I mean, well, it's a live vault. You walk in there and they're still functioning all these years later, because they didn't go through with their experiment, which I don't actually remember what it was. But I think they're interesting. You know, it's a vault. It's a vault that works. So they're not a great faction. They're a minor faction. I'll say I like them more than I like Acadia. I'll say I like the Super Mutants more than I like Acadia, because I generally do, even though they don't make any sense. But this is my tier list for Fallout 4 factions. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please go ahead, argue with me. I'm sure I will have a fun time reading some of these. And let me know what you think. Did I get one of your favourite factions right at the bottom? No one likes the fucking railroads. No, I didn't. Do you agree with what I've said or what I've put? Would you change anything? Let me know. If you like this, leave a like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more Fallout 4 content, and I'll catch you in the next video.